Reality, a concept often taken for granted as fixed and objective, is in fact a tapestry woven from threads of infinite potential, awaiting conscious perception to take form. What I'm about to share with you will fundamentally alter how you understand your very existence. The moment you grasp this principle, everything you thought you knew about reality may become obsolete. The world around you isn't concrete. It isn't predetermined, and it certainly isn't sitting there waiting for you to decode its mysteries. Instead, it's suspended in possibility, waiting for your conscious awareness to bring it into being. This concept isn't just mystical philosophy. It's reinforced by cutting-edge breakthroughs in quantum mechanics. You are far from being a helpless bystander in this cosmic drama. You are the conscious director of the quantum theater of existence. You possess the power to collapse infinite potential into singular, concrete experiences through the focused application of your awareness. This journey, this act of discovery and creation, begins right now, in this very moment. It demands a willingness to expand your mind, because what's about to unfold may permanently transform how you perceive, feel, and shape your reality. Your current reality, the trap of unconscious observation. You often wonder why the same old patterns keep repeating in your life. Why do you feel stuck in an endless loop of procrastination, fear, and seemingly unbreakable limitations? This is a common experience where the feeling of being trapped and the recurrence of undesirable situations become a daily part of life. You might wake up and immediately focus on your problems, review your existing limitations, and reinforce your current story. The unconscious mechanism of reality recreation is profound. When you wake up and immediately check your problems, review your limitations, and reinforce your current story, you're not just witnessing what is. You're actively choosing which version of reality continues to be your experience. This is like casting a vote for a specific timeline to remain your reality. Yet, the majority of humanity operates under the illusion that their circumstances are fixed and unchangeable. Day after day, they engage in identical thought patterns, trigger the same emotional responses, and perpetuate familiar behavioral cycles. They continuously focus their attention on their current situation, and through this repetitive observation, they unconsciously recreate the same reality endlessly. This isn't happening because they desire it, but because they haven't discovered how to redirect their perceptual lens. Your attention is not neutral. It is a powerful magnet. Every moment you are conscious, you are calibrating your internal frequency, and that frequency transmits instructions to the quantum field. This is energetic physics in action. Your emotional focus determines the vibrational signature of your field. The consequences of internal incoherence are significant. Most people live in a state of incoherence without realizing it. They may consciously want love, but unconsciously believe they are unworthy. They desire abundance, but emotionally vibrate with scarcity. They visualize success, but unconsciously expect failure. The quantum field receives these mixed signals and responds with mixed results. A little progress here, a setback there. Just enough to keep them hoping, but not enough to create real transformation. This leads to a little understood truth. The quantum field doesn't just respond to your conscious intentions. It responds to your subconscious patterns as well. In fact, your subconscious programming often has more influence over your reality than your conscious desires. Because it operates 24/7, while your conscious focus might only be directed for minutes each day. The quantum field responds to the dominant signal, which is usually the subconscious programming running in the background. If you continuously observe what is unwanted or your limitations, you are reinforcing the neural and energetic patterns associated with those things. This creates an uncomfortable comfort zone where change is perceived as a threat. Fear and procrastination are often natural responses of a system trying to maintain coherence with what it's accustomed to, even if it's negative. The problem isn't a lack of willpower, but a lack of awareness of how unconscious attention is locking you into an undesirable reality. This reframes negativity from a personal flaw to an ununderstood mechanism. Simply focusing on positive thinking at a conscious level is insufficient if the subconscious is still broadcasting contradictory signals. The solution is not just to observe what you want, but to become conscious of what you are unconsciously observing. This requires a deeper dive into core beliefs and ingrained emotional patterns. To achieve true change, you must shift from merely managing surface thoughts to uncovering and reprogramming subconscious patterns, creating holistic coherence. Unveiling the science of conscious creation from quantum to neuroscience. To truly grasp the creative power of consciousness, you need to explore the underlying scientific principles, from quantum physics to neuroscience. These fields offer compelling evidence that your reality is not a fixed set of facts, but a continuous flow shaped by your attention and awareness. The observer effect and quantum physics, the fabric of reality. The double-slit experiment, one of the most famous experiments in physics, shattered humanity's understanding of reality. Imagine a wall with two slits. If you throw tennis balls at it, they'll go through one of the two slits and create two strips. On the screen behind, very simple and following common logic. However, the magic happens when scientists do the same with subatomic particles. Like electrons, when subatomic particles move through space unobserved, they exhibit wave-like properties, existing simultaneously in countless potential states across a spectrum of possibilities. This means an electron can pass through both slits at once, creating a complex interference pattern on the screen behind, much like water waves. But the instant a conscious observer focuses their attention on these particles, something extraordinary occurs. The waves immediately collapse into definite particles with specific locations and properties. The mere act of conscious observation fundamentally transformed the nature of reality itself. This discovery reveals a startling truth. The act of measurement, which is really an act of focused attention, doesn't just reveal what was already there. It actually determines what becomes real from a sea of infinite possibilities. This implies that you are far from being a helpless bystander in the cosmic drama. You are the conscious director of the quantum theater of existence. You possess the power to collapse infinite potential into singular, concrete experiences through the focused application of your awareness. Think about this in terms of your daily life. Right now, countless versions of your future exist simultaneously. In the quantum field, there's a timeline where you're living your dream life, another where you're stuck in current patterns and infinite variations between them. The question isn't whether these possibilities exist. Quantum mechanics confirms they do. The question is which one you will collapse into reality through your consistent observation. Neuroscience and inner power consciousness as the foundation. The work of pioneering neuroscientists like Dr. Joe Dispenza has provided a crucial bridge between quantum physics and our understanding of consciousness. Dr. Dispenza has dedicated tight decades to demonstrating that where you place your conscious attention determines where you direct your energy, and that energy becomes the instruction manual for the quantum field. Not your physical efforts, not your struggles, but your awareness and your state of being. Dr. Dispenza explains that the brain is the organ of change, and it changes every time you learn something new or have a new experience. This concept in neuroscience is called neuroplasticity. The mind, by definition in neuroscience, is the brain in action. With 100 billion nerve cells seamlessly connected, you can create many different levels of mind by making the brain work in different sequences, patterns, and combinations. Dr. Dispenza's research has demonstrated that you can change your brain just by thinking differently. For example, in an astonishing study, people who only mentally practiced a finger exercise increased their muscle strength by 22% without any physical activity. This shows that the body, as well as the brain, changed by the actual experience, occurred, reflecting a mental effort rather than a physical effort. Physical changes can occur by your thoughts, intentions, and meditations, in parallel with discoveries in neuroscience. Quantum physicists like Amika Swami have made powerful statements about the role of consciousness in shaping reality. Goswami, one of the pioneers of science within consciousness, has explicitly declared, "Consciousness is the foundation of reality, not the reverse." This completely overturns our conventional understanding of existence, transforms you from a passive witness into an empowered creator. The studies by Goswami and others have demonstrated that consciousness is the primary force and physical matter is secondary. Your consciousness is the invisible architect of reality, the quiet creative intelligence that molds matter from the field of pure potential. The external world you perceive isn't the source of your internal experience. It's the mirror reflection of it. This reflection process begins long before any physical action or event takes place. The convergence of quantum physics and neuroscience points to a profound truth. Consciousness is not a byproduct of matter, but an active force capable of shaping reality. Dispenza's work demonstrates this at the brain and body level, while Goswami extends it to the cosmic level. This combination lends strong scientific validity to the idea of consciousness creating reality, making the content more persuasive for scientifically minded individuals and not just relying on spiritual belief. If energy follows awareness, and your attention operates like a powerful spotlight, then this places immense responsibility on each individual. Everything you focus on, whether positive or negative, is energized and manifested. This eliminates the concept of victim and replaces it with creator, demanding a radical mindset shift from blaming circumstances to controlling one's own attention. This is a profound call to action, urging you to embrace your personal power and stop waiting for circumstances to change. Transforming from within, the power of intentional attention. To consciously create reality, you must understand and master the power of intentional attention, especially the intricate relationship between conscious and subconscious, and the importance of internal coherence. Conscious and subconscious decoding the dominant signal. This is a crucial aspect that most manifestation teachings miss entirely. The quantum field doesn't just respond to your conscious intentions. It responds to your subconscious patterns as well. In fact, your subconscious programming often has more influence over your reality than your conscious desires, because it operates 24/7. While your conscious focus might only be directed 4 minutes each day. For example, you can visualize abundance for 20 minutes each morning, but if your subconscious is observing lack, unworthiness, and scarcity for the remaining 23 hours and 40 minutes, the quantum field will respond to that dominant signal. This shows that understanding the difference between the conscious surface desires and the subconscious deep-seated beliefs, patterns, is critical. The subconscious holds core beliefs, past experiences, and automatic emotional responses, all of which are constantly broadcasting a dominant signal to the quantum field. To decode this dominant signal, you need to develop quantum self-awareness. This is the ability to observe not just your conscious thoughts, but the entire spectrum of your inner experience, including your emotional undertones, your subconscious beliefs, your energetic state, and the quality of your attention itself. When you develop this level of awareness, you can begin to align all aspects of your consciousness toward a single desired outcome. Quantum self-awareness is the bridge between theory and practice. The concepts of the observer, effect, and conscious creation can be abstract. Quantum self-awareness provides a concrete method for applying these principles. It shifts the focus from trying to change the external world to changing your internal world, where true control exists. This is the first step to achieving the necessary coherence. This concept transforms complex theory into a practical, daily tool to begin the transformation process. The power of emotion and coherence calibrating your frequency. Your attention operates as an instrument more potent than physical effort, determination, or self-control. Because energy follows awareness. Wherever your attention dwells, your energy accumulates, intensifies, and begins sculpting your lasso, and begins sculpting your field into tangible form. This explains why identical thoughts generate identical emotions, which trigger identical choices and maintain identical realities. This isn't merely a metaphor. It's energetic physics in action. Your emotional focus determines the vibrational signature of your field to truly create reality. You need to achieve a state that quantum physicists call coherence. This is a state where your thoughts, emotions, and intentions are aligned and working together rather than contradicting each other. Imagine coherence like tuning a radio. When you're perfectly tuned to a station, you get clear, strong reception. When slightly off, you get static and interference. Your consciousness works the same way. When your conscious desires, emotional state, and unconscious beliefs are all aligned, you have perfect coherence, and the quantum field responds quickly and clearly. When they are misaligned, you get mixed results or no results at all. Most people live in a state of incoherence without realizing it. They may consciously want love, but unconsciously believe they're unworthy. They desire abundance, but emotionally vibrate with scarcity. They visualize success, but unconsciously expect failure. The quantum field receives these mixed signals and responds with mixed results. A little progress here, a setback there. It's just enough to keep them hoping, but not enough to create real transformation. The solution is to stop focusing on manipulating outcomes and start cultivating your internal state. This involves the sacred practice of observing your own thoughts, not judging them, but becoming conscious of them. You need to tune into your emotional baseline, not just occasional feelings, but your habitual emotional state, because it's this baseline that broadcasts the signal and establishes the foundation for your reality. When you accept responsibility for the energetic output you're broadcasting, everything transforms. You evolve from victim consciousness to creator consciousness. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, "What am I vibrating?" That's attracting this experience. This doesn't come from guilt or self-blame, but from awareness and empowerment. The quantum field doesn't judge which is better or worse. It simply responds to whatever you consistently focus on with emotional intensity. This means the universe doesn't punish or reward. It is simply a perfect mirror. This understanding frees you from the burden of worthiness or karma, focusing instead on mechanical precision. This empowers the individual absolutely, as they understand that everything they experience is a direct result of their own observation and vibration. Removing all external blame. Overcoming procrastination and fear. Reframing negativity and immediate action. When you feel helpless or powerless, remember this truth: you are anything but powerless. You are an infinitely creative being, a conscious force shaping reality through the precision of your attention and the clarity of your internal state. Overcoming procrastination and fear requires a reframing of negativity. Instead of fighting fear or procrastination, you need to recognize them as signals of incoherence or unconscious patterns that need attention and transformation. These feelings are not signs of weakness, but feedback from your energetic field, indicating where your attention needs to be adjusted. This leads to empowerment and proactivity. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Begin asking, what am I vibrating that's attracting this experience? This doesn't come from guilt or self-blame, but from awareness and empowerment. The quantum field serves as your mirror. But most people continuously attempt to change the reflection without altering what they're showing the mirror. They try to manifest increased income without healing their scarcity stories. They seek romantic love without becoming someone who feels genuinely lovable. They attempt to transform their external world without ever examining their internal landscape. And the quantum field continues responding accordingly. The importance of immediate action and observation is immense. Nothing changes until you observe. It changes. Immediate action here is not hurried physical action, but an immediate shift in attention and internal state. It is the moment you decide to redirect your perceptual spotlight from problem to potential, from lack to abundance, from fear to trust. Practical application, creating the life you desire. The general principle of applying the power of consciousness is simple yet profound. Each time you emotionally invest in a particular thought, you're actively observing it into existence. Conversely, every time you attune to elevated possibilities, even when they haven't manifested yet, you draw them closer to physical expression. This isn't superficial, positive thinking or delusion, but the understanding that your observation determines which quantum possibility becomes your lived reality. The quantum field doesn't judge which observation is better or worse. It simply responds to whatever you consistently focus on with emotional intensity. Real-world examples of applying conscious observation principles. To illustrate further, let's consider how this principle can be applied in specific areas of life. Finances, from scarcity to prosperity. Common issue in finances is the feeling of scarcity. Money, anxiety, and cycles of debt. Unconscious observation often includes thoughts like, I never have enough money, money is hard to come by, or I'm not good with finances. These thought patterns, when repeated and coupled with anxious emotions, reinforce a limited financial reality. Conscious observation requires a fundamental shift. Instead of focusing on what's lacking, you need to observe abundance, opportunities, and a sense of wealth. For example, instead of just budgeting to control spending, you can observe money as an abundant flow, a tool for freedom and growth. When spending, observe gratitude for what you have and trust in the continuous flow of money. This doesn't mean ignoring financial realities, but changing the emotional energy attached to them. A useful practice is to conduct a financial reality audit. You need to ask yourself, am I focusing on financial lack or potential? Becoming aware of where your attention is directed is the first step to changing it. Relationships, from conflict to harmony in relationships. Issues often revolve around tension, feeling misunderstood, or loneliness. Unconscious observation can manifest as thoughts like others are untrustworthy. They always let me down, or I can't find true love. These beliefs create a self-reinforcing loop where negative experiences continue to be mirrored. Conscious observation requires you to begin observing others as fundamentally good individuals capable of growth and worthy of love. For example, if there's conflict with someone, instead of replaying the story of their flaws, observe their best version. Observe potential understanding and connection. The same people might even begin showing up differently in your life because you're literally calling forth different aspects of their nature through your observation. This is not about denying problems, but about changing the lens through which problems are viewed and resolved. Health, from illness to vitality. Regarding health, issues like chronic illness, fatigue, lack of energy, or anxiety often come with unconscious observations such as I'm always sick, my body is fighting me, or I don't have enough energy. These thoughts create a low vibrational frequency that can hinder the body's natural healing process. Conscious observation focuses on health, vitality, and the body's recovery. Instead of just focusing on symptoms, visualize and observe your body in optimal health. Apply Dr. Joe Dispenza's mental exercises to create physical changes in the body before any physical action. This includes observing gratitude for every healthy cell and feeling the energy of vibrancy, career, from stagnation to growth in your career. Feelings of not being recognized, lack of opportunities, or unfulfilling work are common issues. Unconscious. Observation often includes thoughts like, I don't have enough skills, opportunities don't come to me, or this job is boring. These thoughts keep you in a state of stagnation and limit your potential. Conscious observation requires you to observe yourself as a valuable professional, new opportunities, and continuous growth. Instead of focusing on what's missing in your job, observe the skills you want to develop, the opportunities you want to attract, and the contributions you want to make. Visualize yourself in your dream position. Feel the sense of success and fulfillment. This creates an energetic field that attracts suitable experiences. Metaphors and analogies for reinforcement. To clarify abstract concepts, metaphors and analogies can be used throughout. Your attention is like a powerful spotlight, illuminating one version of reality while leaving others in darkness. The quantum field is like a faithful mirror, non-judgmental, but simply reflecting what is presented. Your life is not a book already written, but a blank notebook, and every moment, you are writing the next chapter with the pen of conscious attention. The need to observe as if it already is essential to trigger quantum collapse. You begin observing a new narrative even before it physically exists, beginning to fold fresh possibilities into reality. This happens because you have witnessed them with sufficient duration, clarity, and emotional coherence that they had no choice but to respond. This is not pretending or delusion, but a deliberate strategy to shift your vibrational frequency. It requires an internal commitment to maintain that vision regardless of external evidence. This is the true secret of creation. You must become the observer of the desired reality before it appears. Rather than waiting for it to appear before believing, the role of reality audit in breaking unconscious cycles is crucial. The concept of a reality audit helps you become aware of where your attention is habitually going. Most people focus 80 to 90% of their attention on problems. Becoming aware of this is itself a quantum tool because it creates a gap where choice becomes possible. This is the point where you can actively redirect your attention. The reality audit is an essential practical step to break unconscious observation patterns, allowing you to reclaim control and begin creating consciously. Becoming the silent observer, sustaining transformation. To sustain transformation and consciously create reality, you need to develop and live from the state of the silent observer. This is a deeper aspect of consciousness, an inner space that remains unmoved by appearances or circumstances, simply observing without panic, without projection, without mental noise. This is the frequency of the silent observer, and it contains more power than any effort you've ever exerted. The silent observer doesn't attempt to manifest through force or pressure. They don't chase outcomes or resist the present moment. They understand something deeper. That reality reorganizes itself, not through noise or demanding, but through stillness and witnessing with pure presence. In the quantum realm, everything exists as potential, a wave of infinite probabilities. But that wave doesn't collapse because you struggle or strain. It collapses when you observe with crystal clarity, when you perceive with unwavering certainty, when your presence becomes coherent with your desires. This explains why many people strive for years to create change, yet feel like nothing shifts. Because they're still observing their current life with resistance, still watching their fears more intensely than their future possibilities. The quantum field obeys whatever lens you look through consistently. The power isn't contained in your spoken words. It's embedded in the frequency from which you observe. When you attune to the field as the silent observer, detached from panic, liberated from judgment, and anchored in faith, you become magnetically attractive. The things you previously chased begin moving toward you. Not because you increased your efforts, but because you became more empty of noise and more full of pure being. This isn't passive. It's one of the most active disciplines you can cultivate. Witnessing your life without falling into the illusion that what you see represents the final outcome. Holding space for what wants to emerge even when there's no visible sign yet. Hand remaining centered while the world shifts around you, because you're no longer waiting. You're aligning with what's already yours. A more detailed reality audit practice. To begin living from the state of the silent observer, you need to practice a reality audit daily. This is a simple yet powerful self-assessment process throughout your typical day. What percentage of your attention is focused on problems versus possibilities? When you wake up, what's the first thing you observe? Your worries or your vision? When you're driving, are you rehearsing past conversations or imagining future successes? When you're going to sleep, are you reviewing what went wrong or appreciating what went right? This audit isn't meant to judge yourself, but to become aware of where your attention habitually goes. Most people are shocked to discover that 80 to 90% of their daily observation is focused on what they don't want, what isn't working, or what they're afraid might happen. Then they wonder why their reality doesn't change. However, what's fascinating is the moment you become aware of these patterns, they begin to lose their automatic power over you. Awareness itself is a quantum tool. When you catch yourself observing limitation, you're no longer unconsciously feeding it energy. A gap, a space where choice becomes possible, has been created. In that gap, you can ask yourself a quantum question. If I knew that whatever I observe with sustained emotional attention becomes my reality, what would I choose to focus on right now? This simple question can redirect your entire life because it reminds you that you're not a victim of your circumstances. You're the conscious creator of them. When you recognize the field's neutrality, you reclaim complete personal power, because if it's not judging you, it's also not limiting you. There are no energetic gatekeepers, only energetic agreements. And you can renegotiate these agreements. Starting immediately, the connection between reality audit and renegotiating energetic agreements is crucial. The reality audit is the tool to identify your current agreement, what you are unconsciously observing and reinforcing. Once you realize what you're focusing on, you can actively renegotiate by redirecting your attention and energy. This transforms self-reflection into a powerful act of empowerment, allowing you to change the rules of your personal reality, maintaining consistency and commitment. This understanding completely revolutionizes how you approach life challenges. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is this showing me about my current observation patterns?" Every experience becomes feedback about your consciousness rather than evidence of external forces working against you. Reality doesn't demand perfection. It demands consistency. It needs alignment between what you choose to focus on and who you're becoming internally. This isn't about maintaining perfect thoughts every moment of every day. That's impossible and unnecessary. Instead, it's about continuously returning to the frequency of who you want to become until that frequency becomes natural, and then it becomes your reality. The world will continue offering distractions. Old patterns will attempt to reclaim your attention. The ego will whisper that you're not doing enough. But each time you return to the frequency of the silent observer, you restore perfect alignment. You remind the field who's leading this dance. And you witness life reorganizing itself to match your vibrational signature. This is the authentic source of power. You don't need to manipulate outcomes. You don't need to perform spiritual practices from anxiety or desperation. You simply need to observe with heart, with presence, with unshakable belief. Because in this frequency, you're no longer separate from what you seek. You become the field itself, awakening to its own creative nature. The moment you truly realize this, the wave collapses, the illusion dissolves, and the miracle manifests. The silent observer isn't disconnected. They're radically connected, but without the desperation that distorts the energetic signal. They observe from an elevated perspective, with calm, knowing that every scene continues unfolding, that nothing becomes fixed until you observe it with your soul's recognition. In this frequency, you remember reality isn't an external force. It's an echo of your awareness. The more silent, certain, and coherent your awareness becomes, the clearer and more accurate the echo. How do you live from this elevated state? You begin by practicing pure presence. You train your nervous system to feel secure in uncertainty. You release the habit of constant mental analysis. You observe your thoughts like passing clouds, allowing them to move through without grasping or resisting. You breathe more deeply. You slow your pace, and you repeatedly return to the part of you that simply sees with clarity. From that pure seeing, creation flows naturally. The invitation to transform. The power to create reality is not a privilege reserved for a select few, but an innate ability within each individual. You are anything but powerless. You are an infinitely creative being, a conscious force shaping reality through the precision of your attention and the clarity of your internal state. Here is the ultimate invitation. Release the need for external proof. Become the presence that naturally attracts what you desire. Release the striving and embody that frequency. Don't just visualize your dream life, observe it from the space within you that knows it's already real and present. Because the silent observer doesn't create accidentally. They create through consistency. They choose what to observe with intention, and then watch that vision come alive to begin this journey. You are invited to breathe deeply, bringing awareness to your inner landscape. Recognize that consciousness isn't passive, but profoundly creative. The reality you experience isn't simply happening to you. It's emerging through your participation. Creation doesn't originate from struggle. It begins with intentional focus. In every moment, your existence is being molded by what you're consistently giving your energy to. Not what you claim to desire, not what you occasionally hope for, but what you habitually observe, react to, and emotionally engage with. You are encouraged to begin observing your future self as if they're already present. Feel their energetic signature. Visualize how they move, how they communicate, what they believe. Hold that image in your heart as if it's already your current reflection. Because in a universe governed by observation, the most magnetic thing you can accomplish is to perceive clearly what others don't yet see and become that vision. If this message connects with you, a powerful action can be to affirm in your mind or write down, "I am choosing what to observe." Let this act serve as a vibrational anchor, a signal to the universe that you are now viewing life through the lens of creation. Rather than reaction, understanding the observer effect is just the beginning. Most people struggle because they're still attached to their old identity, which keeps pulling them back into familiar patterns. To truly release these outdated versions of yourself and allow your new reality to emerge effortlessly, you can explore further the exact process for letting go of the old patterns. This is the missing piece that accelerates everything we've discussed.